Hey friends, welcome to Gardening with Creekside. Today, Brenna and I are up here at the chicken coop yet again. I know I said I was not going to be planting any more plants this summer, but that's just a lie. Let's just be honest with each other. So today we are going to be planting hot weather loving perennials. Perfect time to add these fantastic award-winning perennials to the garden here up at the chicken coop. We are here bright and early. You can see that the sun has not reached us yet because today is going to be very hot. It is going to be, the high is like 98 with a heat index of, I don't know, 100 and something plus. Heat advisory is out until 8 o'clock tonight. So not only do we have 98-degree temperatures, but we probably have 98% humidity and crazy dew points. So it is a very warm time of year, early July here in North Carolina, a zone 8A, and that is why I am adding these perennials to the garden now, because they are in their active growing time. Their roots are loving all of this heat and humidity, are going to get really well established before the cool of the fall and the winter hits. Because generally speaking, we say we plant in the fall. Right here in North Carolina, there are certain plants that do better when we plant in the summer. Those are those plants that love these hot conditions and absolutely thrive. So what we're going to do is I've already placed the plants in their containers out in the garden. So we're just going to kind of walk you through. I'm going to show you the plants that we're adding. Then before the sun hits us, I'm going to get them in the ground. Then we're going to come back through and I'm going to talk about the design and why I put the plants where I did, because there is a method to my madness. So we're going to get started and just talk about what are these beautiful perennials that we are adding to the garden. So here directly in front of the chicken coop, you can see that the sun is kind of getting to us. So this is where we're going to start over here. We've got some echinacea. Love echinacea. The pollinators love echinacea. It is a beautiful plant that comes in all sorts of a variety of colors and sizes. The pollinators are actually already starting to come out onto these plants. We have the Sombrero Adobe Orange. Now the Sombrero series of echinacea do really well for us here in North Carolina, and they do all sorts of different colors. Like there's a yellow, there's a red, you name it, there is a big bright color. I love the Adobe Orange because of its gorgeous color, right? I mean, it is stunning. This is going to be hardy in zones 4 to 9. It is going to be 18 to 20 inches tall, 18 to 20 inches wide. And of course, echinacea does love that full sun. So we have got 3 of those right here. Then we have, it's the exact same plant, 3 more right here. Now, this is going to be a fun one that we are going to add. I actually have 4 of them here in this space. So we've got a 1, 2, and then there's 3, and then there's 4 down here. These do not have tags. These are non-branded, but this is this is called Little Lamb. It is a lamb's ear, and we're familiar with lamb's ear in the fact that they have massive, big, huge leaves. Well, Little Lamb clearly has little tiny leaves. It is a miniature. It's only going to get 2 to 5 inches tall, spread about 12 to 15 inches, and still does those beautiful, soft, silvery foliage will bloom, but it's much shorter. So this is a perfect ground cover for those full sun to part sun areas. I want to say this was hardy in zones 4 to 8. If I'm wrong, I will pop that up on the screen. So we've got the Little Lamb in there. For a beautiful pop of yellow. If you've been with us in the past couple of weeks, I have talked about this plant several times, both in the privacy berm and at the garden center in our nursery tours. So here we have, Brenna likes to come in and be all up in the flowers. This is the Heliopsis. This is Tuscan Gold. Heliopsis, of course, is in that sunflower family. Look at those beautiful, just happy, bright flowers. Tuscan Gold is from our friends at Proven Winners. It will be about 24 to 32 inches tall, and it is hardy in zones 4 to 9 as well, and you're going to space them about 20 inches apart. Once your Tuscan Gold starts blooming, it does not stop. So it is just a fantastic plant. The pollinators, you can see I've got little bees that are flying around. Their little pollen sacs are full. Loving this. So we've got these 3 Tuscan Golds that are very happy, very healthy. Going to add them as well. Now, I'm going to come on down the bank here, because you know nothing is flat here at Creekside. And the next little section that we're going to do, the next plant, is the Magnus. Magnus is a purple coneflower, right? So coneflowers, again, still in those echinaceas, very different color than the sombreros. This is going to be kind of your traditional color of your echinacea. Really just that beautiful, kind of that soft pink mauve color. And you'll notice that these are, while we have some buds on them, I have pruned them just a little bit because some of them were getting kind of tall. Now your Magnus, of course, does need that full sun, just like your adobes do. And these are going to be taller. These are going to be 3 feet tall, and we're going to space them 18 to 24 inches apart, hardy in zones 3 to 8. So we have got some Magnus, and we actually have more Magnus behind the Violet Cascade. So we've got some more right over there. And then like the last plant that we're going to talk about, that we're going to add, we have multiples of them that we're going to add, is some Rudbeckia. Now I'm a huge fan of Rudbeckia. It is a beautiful plant that blooms in the heat of the summer, typically late summer, early fall. And this is American Gold Rush, Black-Eyed Susan, right? So Rudbeckias are your Black-Eyed Susans. You can use that name interchangeably. American Gold Rush is actually, in 2023, was the Perennial Plant Association, the Plant of the Year. So this is a great plant. The Gold Rush is going to be 22 to 26 inches tall, so basically like 2 feet tall, but it's going to get nice and wide. It is going to fill in this area, hardy in zones 4 to 9, excuse me. And just that sun-loving attracts all of your pollinators in the late summer. So we have 3 in this group right here, but I actually have a total of 5. So we're talking about the design here in a little bit, but just know that I've got 1 here, you got the 3, and then you've got 1 more right here. And then that group back there, that is more of the Magnus echinacea. So my tools of choice for today, we're keeping it really simple. Of course, biotone. I don't plant anything without my biotone. So there we have the biotone starter fertilizer. I have my little hand rake, and the reason that I have the hand rake is because we have just come through here and added some great, really nice, rich organic material as a mulch, and I want to save that. I want to preserve that. So I will use my hand rake to pull back the existing mulch. We will drill our holes with our Jenny's edition of the Power Planter auger. It's a 5-inch, does perfect for these 1 gallons in these quart-sized containers. Now, notice on this, it definitely has the heavy-duty tip, and it is starting to wear down, so I'm probably going to replace this probably this fall. That's the great thing about this auger, is that all these pieces are replaceable, because this is, without a doubt, this garden has the absolute worst soil on our property. When I say it is thick, tough, really compacted red clay soil, this is that spot. This is why we've added so much organic material on the top, is because we've got to, we got to get some more organic material in here. So I could not use a drill that did not have the heavy duty tip. If I had a drill that without the heavy duty tip, without the blades, I would simply just sit there and spin. Literally, I would go nowhere. So it is really important that I have the heavy duty tip, those blades, and that I can get in here. So that is what I'm gonna do. We're gonna go ahead and drill the holes like I said before, because the sun, she's a creeping. So we're gonna get these in the ground. I'm gonna come back, talk about the design. Why did I put these things here? Why did I choose these plants? All the good nitty-gritty details, so that you can use that information hopefully in your garden, wherever you are, when you're making decisions about what plants to add and then where to put them in your garden. And yeah, we'll just go from there. Okay, my friends, so we got all of the plants in the ground. Dear heavens, it is not even 11 o'clock in the morning and I am absolutely drenched with glistening beads. It's a toasty one. So let me go through and just show you what we did and why I did what I did and why I decided to place things in the place that I wanted to place them. So might as well, we're just gonna bite the bullet and we're gonna head to the sun first. So I did the adobe oranges first because it was in the sun, and this is the time of year, as Jerry says, that all things are out to kill you here, whether it's the fire ants, the yellow jackets, the horseflies, who knows what. But I tell you this is because I stuck my knee down and was bending on my knee. Brenna was with me, and there is something in the mulch that absolutely lit both she and I up. And so oh, this is why I should have gotten my kneeling pad, not really for the comfort level, but just to protect me from the things that are in the mulch. I don't know if it was fire ants, I don't know, but she was not a happy puppy and I'm not a happy gardener. But you know, we do all sorts of things for the successful garden, right? Gardeners will sacrifice. So I digress. Heat's getting to me. Here we have, I did 2 groups of the echinaceas, right? So there's 3 in there, and these adobes are going to be a little bit more shorter, right? So that's why we put them in the front of the garden, because they're going to be a little bit smaller. They're not going to be nearly as tall as, say, the Magnus. And having it here, I love having those pops of orange. In the backyard beds, I am going to kind of like redo those because I don't like the way I designed them, because like I love the echinacea, right? I love all those gorgeous colors. So I was like, I want to have all of them. And I did them in mass groups, but when you look at the beds as a whole, there's not a consistency that flows through it. Yes, there's echinaceas, but it's not, they're all different colors, and it just sometimes seems like a little too hodgy-podgy, mismatched. And so I'm trying to bring that in and still use all of my beautiful colors that I want, all those nice, hot, rich colors, but to still have consistency in the flower bed. So that is why I did, I restrained myself to only the adobe orange, having 3 groups, like 3 plants here, and then coming down and having 3 plants here. They're both groups are behind the tater tots. Tater tots are doing well, they're just taking a long time. So if the tater tots, you know, take off and are huge, well then we can always move those adobe oranges if we need to. Also, as far as color wise, so we have the Pugster Pinker right behind it. So I love having bold orange and hot pink together, so fun. Then color wise, we have the Blue Fortune Agastaki. So it is a nice blue, and so orange and blue of course go together. And then again over here we have the Dream Girl Phlox, which is again like that nice, it echoes the Pugster Pinker, that bright pink. So having that orange in there just brings a whole nother level of color in here, but yet it ties in because we have it repeated right over there. So that is that. Now, switching angles here, let's talk about the little lambs here. When we have, let me just back up here a little bit. We have this access right here, so I can drive Johnny up. Remember, this is where the tractor shed used to be. We tore it down. We're going to build another structure there at some point. So I can drive Johnny up here, have access to the chicken coop with the machine. That is a quicker, more direct route. And so also, I like having a pathway, so a walking path. I am not going to drive the machine up here. I guess if Jerry or Jackson needed to drive the little Bobcat, it would fit. But I wanted to make this a more of a defined pathway. I am choosing at this point, at least, I know some people have asked if I, you know, in my paths to use like flagstone or some sort of like hardscape like that. I don't want to, because I just want to keep it natural. Like I want to keep this as natural as possible and just use either different color mulches or whatever, and the plants to define the walking paths, right? So that's going to be my goal here. And so what we have is, it really wasn't super defined before. In my brain it kind of was, because we have like the Touch of Gold holly here, and then a Sprinter boxwood and so forth, right, you know, echoed both sides. So taking those little lambs, and I've kind of alternated them so they're not directly across from each other, but they're on each side. So you have 1, 2, and then there's a third one behind the smoke bush, and then the fourth one is right over here by the sprinter boxwood. So it kind of makes my path just a little bit more defined, and when you look at it this way, all of those will kind of work together. They can be up to 15 inches wide, so they're going to spread and get nice and thick right there. So that will be a fun addition. Plus, it's a whole different color, right? So we have that chartreuse of that touch of gold holly. Then we've got the dark green of the sprinter boxwood, and now this like nice light silver color. Really, really fun there. And then, you know, the Tuscan gold. Putting those 3 underneath the cherry tree. Now, right now, yes, they are in dapple's shade, and you're gonna say, but Jenny, they're full sun. Trust me, y'all. These get hot, hot, hot afternoon sun. So they are getting ready to be in full sun, and will be in full sun until the sun goes down. So putting them together, they're gonna get some height to them. So that'll like fill in. I have a perennial salvia right here. Then you'll have, that is a blue. Then you have your yellow, that chartreuse right there, nice height. So that'll be kind of like the corner and anchor as far as the pathway goes. And then this is the Magnus. So that other echinacea that will get good height to them. I mean, they can get like up to 3 feet to them. So thinking about this is quite a nice little steep hill. I don't know if you can tell that, but going up, so give my height back here with those 3 Magnus, like I said, up to 3 feet tall. And then with the American Gold Rush, we've got the 1, 3, and then there's one more right there. They too will get some height, not quite as tall as the Magnus, but you'll have that pinky mauve, then you'll have the yellow again. So we're tying in the yellow from the Tuscan Gold, yellow with the American Gold Rush, and tying all of those in, those colors together in. And so it's going to give me height and more color and structure right here. And so that is the plan. Now, you may have noticed or picked up on the fact that I went ahead and cut off all the blooms off of my American Gold Rush. And you're like, why in the world would you do that? These were quart-sized containers, and so they were extremely, I wouldn't say they were not extremely root bound. They were root bound, but they were going to be on the struggle bus. Like today's going to be 98. I am trying to put all of that energy into the root system and not in producing flowers. So I just came through and just topped off each stem where there was a bud. There's one right there. I missed it, but that's all right. So all of that energy is going to go into the root system, getting nice, strong, healthy roots, a strong system, and y'all, this will branch back out, because if you can look right here, there are already, this was getting ready to branch. So now that I have taken that top piece out, we're going to get a lot of good branching right here. So these plants, they are going to thicken up, and they will bloom this year. They're not supposed to bloom until late summer and into fall. Because they were started this year in the greenhouse, they were a little advanced as far as putting on their flower buds. So all I have done is encourage the plant to send its energy into strong, healthy roots, and then that will equate to more top growth and flowers this fall. Because this is a perennial, I am thinking long term. What can I do now to ensure the success of this perennial for years to come? Planting it in the heat of the summer when it's really the most active growing. Go ahead and give it a little trim. That way energy goes back down to the roots. Now that was the only one that I did as far as like the plant. Now all the American Gold Rushes got pruned, but I really didn't do that to my Magnus. Obviously I didn't do it to the Tuscan Golds or the Adobe Oranges. Could I? Yes, you could. In fact, it was a little questionable here on these Magnus whether I go ahead and prune it back or not. And honestly, like I could very, very easily come in, because you can see this one right here, I could easily come down and prune it right here, right? Because I've got some branching right here. It'll create a nice, strong plant. And yeah, we'll just see. We'll see how they handle these temperatures as we're going into July and August, obviously, those are our hottest months of the summer, and so we'll just see how they do. I have not watered them yet. I'm getting ready to do that, so I will give them a really good drink of water, and so that way they're nice and happy in there. If you have perennials, whether you're planting perennials right now or you already have some in the ground. For example, this is another salvia. This is, I have several of the Salvia gregii, and this one, really all three of them, you can see at the bottom, they're a little thin, right? And we just have a couple of blooms on them. More than likely, I am going to gather that thing up and I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut it back by half to encourage new growth, strong, healthy root system, and to really kind of thicken up and flush out. So don't be afraid to prune back your perennials or your shrubs if they're showing signs of distress, because if they're showing signs of distress, they're trying to keep all that top part of the plant alive. And if you come in there and give it a trim, a prune, then it will send more energy. It's less plant to keep alive, basically, right? So it has a better chance of surviving for long term. So I want to take the fear out of pruning. So many people get so scared to prune, and I understand that because you don't want to kill your plant. But pruning in horticulture is a really big deal, and it really does help the plant long term. Yeah, so we are planting those hot weather grasses. Not grasses. I did the grasses a minute ago, a couple days ago. Heat is getting to me. Hot weather perennials, right? We're planting these hot weather perennials. Now, a couple of things people have asked, what would you not be planting right now? Well, what I would not be planting right now would be my plants that really can thrive and have lots of good root growth in the wintertime. So what is that? So for me, where I am, North Carolina, a zone 8A, could always be different for where you are. That would include my hydrangeas. I am not planting hydrangeas right now. So hydrangeas, hostas, roses, ferns, pulmonaria, brunnera, really even like camellias. I wouldn't plant camellias right now. I'm looking at all my plants. Those are ones that I would not plant. So does that mean you can't buy them? Jenny's never going to tell you that you can't buy plants. You can always buy plants. I am buying plants as well. So what do? Okay, you have a hydrangea, you get a hydrangea that you love, it is gorgeous, but it's just way too hot for you to put it in the ground. What do? Well, you go ahead and you grab it and you move it up to a bigger container. So I recently just got 3 Invincible lace hydrangeas from Proven Winners. They're Proven Winner plants. I bought them from a different nursery, and they came as quart-size containers. I am not putting them in the ground right now. A quart-size hydrangea in the ground in July is probably not a very good idea. So what I did do is I grabbed a nursery pot, and you can see this little terracotta pot right here, and then there's 2 more back there. So I took that quart-size container and I moved it up into this container. So it doesn't matter what the container is. It can be an old nursery pot like this. This is what we would do our mums in, and I planted it. You just want to go up in size. So this is probably equivalent to almost a 2-gallon container, and planted it. Y'all, do you see all of that brand new growth on this plant? When I bought it, it was not this full and lush. It was kind of stickish, but it is so happy. So all I have to do, yes, I do have to water it, but I'm up here at the chicken coop, and so I throw a little bit of water on it every couple of days, right? Because the roots are not throughout the entire pot, and it is happy. So I will know this fall when it comes and cooler temperatures come and I'm ready to plant it. Then I'll go, okay, this is a good spot for it. It likes being right here. Not that this is exactly where they're going, but you understand what I'm saying. So here we have another one of those Invincible laces, and you can see all this little new growth. These 2 were it was very, very sticky. And so you can see I've got new growth popping out right here. Put some land and sea, some good potting soil. I use the Proven Winners potting soil. Look at all that new growth popping out. So that is what I would encourage you to do, is that, yes, go ahead and buy that plant. Go ahead and buy that perennial. Go ahead and buy that shrub. And if it's not the best time to plant it, or maybe you're going, I don't know, whatever is happening, you can put it in maybe a shadier location. You can put it in an area that you can get water to it closer. So there's lots of different ways that you can do this, and yeah, and then just go from there. I did the exact same thing with my feather falls, right? So the feather falls that were in the urns by the garage right here, I wasn't ready to plant them. Didn't know really where I wanted to plant them. So I got a bigger container, potted them up, plopped them in the landscape. There you go. Another thing that you can do is, I shared this with you last year when we were up here in the chicken coop, is because none of this is on irrigation, I have to hand water everything. To help with these plants that are newer and need good consistent water, is I bought these tree rings off of Amazon. You can get a 2-pack or a 4-pack. They hold 15 gallons of water. So all you have to do is get your hose, and it reminds me like of a pool inner tube. So you pop open the top, you fill it up. It takes a minute to fill up the 15 gallons. It gets nice and poofy, and then let me show you. Right here, there are emitters underneath it, so it drains. So it takes about, I think this said maybe 6 hours to drain that 15 gallons of water. So this is a great way if you've got, you know, plants that are struggling, that need those good deep waterings. Camellias are a prime example. Once you get a camellia established, it's happy, but it takes a little bit of work to get it there. So once you get it, I got one back here, oh, she was struggling. So that's why I did this. So there are some tips and some tricks that, you know, that I'm happy to share with you what I'm doing, but just know that different times of the year call for planting different plants. It can be a bit confusing sometimes. Go to your local garden center, talk with them, and see what they suggest. But that's kind of my rule, right? Plants that thrive in the cool, cold hostas. I got tons of hostas waiting to go in, but it is too hot. So they're hanging out in the pines underneath automatic irrigation. This fall, I will fill them in over there, but I am not doing that now. And I say this will probably be the last planting that I do for quite a while, because we're just in maintenance mode right now. I know a lot of y'all are in the heat and the humidity and crazy high temperatures, and we're just trying to keep things alive. Keep it alive, and we'll go from there. But as always, we so appreciate you. Hopefully you have learned something from this. Not that you have to do the exact same plantings or the exact same situation, because we're all different and all of our gardens are different, but hopefully you've taken a little nugget away from this video. We appreciate you. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, my friends.